Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. My name is Soraya. So I'm not usually a mixed media girl. I have always just done fluid pours and enhancements, but I've been intrigued by the use of stencils, and so I thought I would give it a try. This video is a tutorial, so you'll see the progression of what happens as I use the stencil. So enjoy! Hi everyone, it's Soraya. I'm setting up my table for a new experiment. I'm using gesso, and here I brought out some of my palette knives just to have on hand, and a canvas, 24 by 36 inch gallery wrapped canvas. And I have a stencil. So I positioned the stencil where I think it would look best, and I start applying the gesso. In the end, I really just used this one palette knife. I didn't need the rest. I just wanted to have an assortment just in case. This was my first time using gesso, and I must say it went on very smoothly. I was pleasantly surprised. I decided to give it a little bit more texture by just using a sponge. I love the reveal, it's so exciting. This turned out perfectly, and I've got one other element I want to add. This time I didn't even bother taping it down, I just held it down. It worked out fine. I didn't need to change up my palette knife. The other one was too big. So I'm super happy how these both look. This is just step one. Watch out for the next one coming up. I love how this gold brings out the pattern. It really makes it come to life. I'm adding a bit of teal for interest and a bit of color. Time to start pouring, so I've got white, black, and gold, beautiful neutrals that blend so well together. So I was happy with this start. The lacing in this area was incredible. And what I thought I would do is just kind of go around that stencil, but you'll see what happens. Just keep watching. So normally I add 2 parts Floetrol and 1 part paint, but this time on the white I added twice as much, so 4 times Floetrol and 1 part paint, and I got all that gorgeous lacing and cells. So thinking back on this now, what I should have done is probably start off with a canvas of a color choice that I would want, maybe black, and then do the stencil with the texture on it. I kind of painted myself into a corner there. A little surprising, but I'll show you what I do to this next. I decided to take out my sponge and bring in some of that white, thinking that covering it up that way, it might work better. It would blend better with what was happening in the painting. But you'll see coming up what happens next. So I decided that wasn't working, so I got my white back out and started to blow it out from there. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that that stencil will come through somehow through that paint, but I continued to blow it out until I was happy with it. Okay, here it is from my side. I just realized I forgot to press record because I just added a little bit more black here. Didn't like that it was so light. So my idea is that maybe this stencil will come through. Now that I'm looking at it, probably not, so lesson learned, I'll have to do it differently. This was a bit of an experiment. So, but look at this. Look at how beautiful. Look at that lacing and lots of gorgeous cells. Look at this area down here. Wow. It's beautiful. And the overall. So I'm gonna let it dry. I'll be back here in just 1 second. So of course when it dried, I couldn't see the stencil. It's as if I had never done anything. So I had to redo that step, which is interesting. So, you know, you live and learn. You always learn something new every day. So from this point forward, I started working with the stencil, and I had only intended to work in that area, but you know, I couldn't help myself. I had to change things up. You'll see. Just keep watching. One of my favorite parts really is the enhancement, and by that I really just mean that sometimes it's good to add something to a painting, color or a line or more of a focal point, something that makes it more unique. And fluid pours are great because it gives you a great base to start off with. It really is best to let your imagination go and see where the painting will take you. You will see that this painting does transform. I work on this area that I'm working on now quite a bit because that is such an important part of the painting. Creating a painting in your own style is very, very important. You want to be able to have people recognize your painting and say, hey, that's a painting by Soraya Silvestri. For my style, I love a lot of movement and a lot of contrast. I recommend that you step back from your painting and really take a look at what's been happening, what you've been doing. And if you don't like it, just wipe it off. I have paper towels and fresh water on hand to do just that. You may have noticed that I didn't put the butterfly stencil back in. I felt it just didn't work well as I thought it would have, so I just omitted it. Adding all these details makes the painting really interesting and draws the viewer in. Let me know in the comments section if you've worked with a stencil and what your experience with it was. Don't be afraid of, quote, mistakes. It is a process and you learn something from everything that you do. So I do keep adding a lot of detail, and I haven't forgotten about the stencil. I will be working on that as well. Just keep watching, you'll see what I mean. Now I know that there are a lot of fluid artists who just do the fluid pour, blow it out, or tilt it, or swipe, whatever the technique is, and leave it at that. And that is perfectly fine, nothing wrong with that. I just happen to love to work with brushes and changing up those fluid pours. So I do put a lot of hours. The editing that I do takes me so long because it's hours of original video that I go through and give you the highlights. And it's just one other aspect of doing all this that I enjoy. So I finished outlining the stencil. It really made it pop. And now I'm darkening areas to make those areas a little bit more 3D. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and click on the bell icon to receive all notifications. So after having worked on it for quite a long time, I had to make that decision that it was just a little bit too busy going on there at the bottom of the stencil. I wanted to simplify it and yet still have some detail going on there, and that's what I'm working on now. Up close images are coming up, but at this point, really the only thing left was to highlight the stencil, put some of that gold back in there. You can see here what a big difference this has made. Okay, so that was the finishing touch, just adding that little bit of gold onto the stencil. It took a while to get to this point, but I think it was worth it. I'm really loving how this looks. Let me know in the comments section what you think about it. I'd love to hear that. And click on the link you see now to see more of my enhanced pours.